check, 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 sound.
Opo.
Opo.
Tapi sebenarnya aku lo neng kene nih.
Honorable Rector of Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta and his deputies, outstanding speakers, distinguished Dean of Visual Arts Faculty of ISI Yogyakarta and his deputies, respected invited guests, webinar participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to the Visual Art Workshop, Visual Art Project in a New Life Order report. I am Henning Tiasvidowati, your webinar host. This workshop is one of the agenda items organized by our faculty, supported by partner overseas universities, Hochschule Hanover, Germany, the University of Melbourne, Australia, and Silpakorn University, Thailand. Well, before we come to the main agenda, I would like to present you the Dean opening remarks. Kindly be invited, Dr. Timbul Raharjo.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Dalam meningkatkan kualitas pendidikan dalam dan luar negeri, diupayakan secara terus-menerus berafiliasi dengan beberapa perguruan tinggi luar negeri. Bahkan program luar negeri telah banyak dilakukan oleh beberapa perguruan tinggi di Indonesia. Ini adalah sebuah keniscayaan sebagai bentuk pertukaran ilmu pengetahuan dalam bidang seni. Hal ini selaras dengan program Kampus Merdeka dan Merdeka Belajar. Mengembangkan diri mahasiswa untuk dapat belajar sesuai dengan kombinasi ilmu dengan minat dan bakat mahasiswa. Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Yogyakarta telah melakukan adaptasi, melakukan akses dan komunikasi dengan mitra perguruan tinggi internasional. Jogja International Creative Art Festival adalah salah satu kegiatan berskala internasional yang diselenggarakan oleh Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Jakarta, bertujuan mengembangkan dan saling bertukar informasi tentang perkembangan ilmu pengetahuan, penciptaan, dan pengkajian dalam bidang seni, serta budaya. Event ini merujuk pada tema tentang new normal pada saat ini dan bagaimana seniman menyikapi hal ini sekaligus berperan secara aktif dalam bidang yang digelutinya, yaitu bidang seni rupa. Kegiatan ini melibatkan mitra perguruan tinggi luar negeri yang selama ini telah bekerjasama dengan baik melalui beberapa event seni dengan Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Yogyakarta seperti Silpakorn University, Thailand, Seoul Institute of the Art, dan lain-lain. Terdapat tempat event dalam Jogja International Art Festival, yaitu 1. Visual Art Collaboration, pameran seni rupa dari berbagai mitra luar negeri. Ini merupakan suatu kebanggaan tersendiri bagi Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Yogyakarta, dan kita beberapa narasumber yang sudah kita undang dalam forum sharing, kemudian webinar, ini yang menghadirkan beberapa narasumber yang berkompeten di Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Yogyakarta. Juga Visual Art Competition yang merupakan lomba bagi peserta mahasiswa dari Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Yogyakarta maupun dari beberapa mahasiswa dari luar negeri. Ucapan terima kasih saya aturkan kepada para pendukung acara ini. Semoga pandemi COVID-19 secara segera berakhir sehingga kerjasama antar perguruan tinggi terus dapat dikembangkan, tidak saja melalui daring namun juga luring. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Pak Timbul. Well, the theme of this workshop was defined based on our concern of this pandemic situation. We all know that the pandemic has set limitation for people's life. And we have two choices: to give up or to survive. And we choose the latter. To survive means to be more creative and more productive. And that's why we organize this workshop. At this special moment, we have invited 6 outstanding speakers. We have 3 of them here and 3 other connected through Zoom. Let me say their names in their presentation order later. The first is Dr. Anders Asmariaki, MSN. And then the second, Professor Gunnar Spellmeyer. Next, Lutze Lambert Daniel Morin, MSN. And then we have Dr. Edwin Juin. And then Dr. Randa Janjang Purwosejati, MSN. And Dr. Firawat Sirivesmas. We are going to have 2 hours divided into 2 sessions. The first will be the presentations, where the speakers have at most 15 minutes each. And then after all the presentation, we are going to have the question and answer session. Well, I'm sure that you do not want to wait any longer. So let's have the first speaker. He is Dr. Anders Asmariaki, MSN. He is a senior lecturer at Visual Communication Design Study Program. And then this man was born with outstanding manual drawing skill. And this talent has made him to win so many awards. He lives his life with this spirit. This one is interesting. To draw everywhere, with any tools, for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Anders Asmariaki, MSN.
Halo, saya Asmariaki, penggambar asli dari kota Jogja. Dulu saya studi di sekolah tinggi seni rupa asri, kemudian melanjutkan ke Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Yogyakarta. Menggambar merupakan salah satu aktivitas dasar yang dilakukan oleh anak masa balita, di samping aktivitas dasar lain seperti bermain, berinteraksi di dalam lingkup kecil keluarga. Di masa ini, pengertian menggambar umumnya masih berupa gores, coret yang belum jelas bentuknya, serta masih terbatas pada pola bentuk yang ada di sekeliling dirinya, seperti misalnya bola, ya, boneka, ibu, bapak, kakak. Menggambar merupakan karunia ilahi yang berupa naluri, semangat, bakat. Di masa berikutnya, seiring dengan melebarnya aktivitas dan lingkup kehidupan diri, hal yang digambar makin beragam, bentuk, jenis, gaya gores, warna, hingga memunculkan gambaran cetusan ide, sebuah olahan bayangan atau gambaran di tahap awal saat mempersiapkan akan menggambar hal apa, aspek apa, dan unsur seputar hal tersebut terkait apa saja. Ciri khas kuat yang perlu ditambahkan seperti apa? Hasil goresan aneka rupa ragam gambar dengan berbagai tujuan, fungsi, manfaat ternyata bisa memunculkan juga keunikan ungkapan seperti berawal dari sebuah goresan, dari coret-coret jadi beneran, dari khayalan jadi kenyataan, dari hobi jadi profesi. Dalam dunia nyata, gambar bermetamorfosis ke banyak rupa bentuk seperti gambar sketsa, gambar benda, gambar foto wajah, gambar vignette, gambar unsur estetik layout, gambar infografis, gambar teknik, gambar kerja, gambar perspektif, gambar storyboard, gambar ilustrasi cerpen, novel, sergam komik, dan seterusnya. Gambar pun mampu menginspirasi perkembangan masa depan. Salah satu contoh klasik adalah ide gambar dalam komik Flash Gordon tahun 1936 di saat proyek NASA dan Soyuz belum terpikirkan, yang dirintis baru pada 1957. Dalam ilustrasi komik tersebut sudah menggambarkan adanya pesawat ruang angkasa lengkap dengan persenjataan laser, pistol laser, helm luar angkasa, video call antar planet, serta kemampuan mendarat di planet lain bersumber dengan makhluk planet lain. Intinya, ide gambar ternyata mampu mendahului masa atau teknologi zamannya. Bidang gambar multifungsi menarik perhatian saya untuk ditekuni dari hobi jadi profesi. Menggambar sejak balita, belajar menggambar apa saja, menggores coret-coret kapan saja, memperhatikan, mencermati banyak hal, mengembangkan wawasan dan ide visual tanpa terasa telah terjalani selama hampir 60 tahun. Bakat dan kemampuan gambar saya terasa saat sekolah di kampus seni rupa dan di dunia nyata profesi. Interaksi sesama penggambar, beda bidang, beda bangsa di dunia nyata profesi, memberikan penyimulan inti pada diri saya bahwa menggambar bukan sekadar aspek bakat dan keterampilan semata, namun lebih lebar dari itu. Pengembangan wawasan, penguasaan hal, materi yang akan digambar, apapun bidang materinya harus dipelajari terlebih dulu, difahami isinya, dan diresapi maknanya. Adanya penguasaan pemahaman materi akan melancarkan tahap olah ide kreatif dan tahap lanjut proses penggambaran. Dari apa yang telah saya jalani, saya alami, dan saya rasakan selama ini, memberikan penyadaran pada diri saya bahwa semakin lebar interaksi lintas bidang, lintas bangsa, semakin diperlukan identitas budaya dalam gambar. Bukan sekadar gambar bagus, namun gambar yang mencerminkan aspek tanda diri, ikon, simbol, indeks, sentuhan, tamaan, ciri khas budaya tempat asal penggambar. Semakin kuat akar budaya tradisional, semakin kuat cerminan khas budaya yang bisa ditampakkan. Saya dilahirkan di Yogyakarta, kota dengan banyak sebutan daerah istimewa, kota budaya, kota perjuangan, kota pendidikan, kota wisata, kota situs heritage, dan sebagainya. Maka saya merasakan di sini seakan telah tersedia rupa banyak ragam jenis bahan baku budaya tradisional yang bernilai untuk pengembangan wawasan dan ide kreatif sehingga berwujud menjadi karya gambar dengan ciri khas kuat cerminan budaya lokal. Hal ini dirasakan jadi hal penting saat ada interaksi lintas bidang, lintas suku, lintas bangsa. Sejak kecil saya tertarik dengan budaya tradisional, terutama wayang, pewayangan, gambar wayang. Sejauh ini yang saya pahami dan pelajari, ada sejumlah karakter wayang yang asli hasil olahan budaya lokal, cerminan karakter rakyat jelata yang dikenal dengan sebutan punakawan, yaitu Semar, Gareng, Petruk, Bagong, Togok, Sarawita, Sangi, Limbu. Kemudian ada karakter cerminan tidak baik seperti Putu Cakil, Putu Terong, Putu Rambut Geni, Putu Jurang Brawah, Demit, Rong-rong bolong, wewe gombel, dan sebagainya. Karakter ini khas lokal, ya, tidak dijumpai di negeri asal dongeng di India. Di samping karakter wayang, saya tertarik juga pada dongeng dan karakter boneka si Kunjung lan si Bawuk yang awalnya berasal dari buku bacaan SD, berlanjut acara sandiwara radio, kemudian berlanjut pada acara sandiwara di layar televisi Yogyakarta. Karakter-karakter lokal ini terutama Punokawan mencerminkan peran kehidupan, mengiringi, mendampingi, memberi contoh tuntunan, memberi sindiran dan kritikan kepada raja, satria, putri yang didampinginya. Dalam pengembangan lanjut di masa sekarang, tampilan perkeliran wayang di sandiwara wayang orang, di cergam, di komik, di gambar karikatur. Peran karakter Punakawan lebih karikatural menghadapi berbagai problematika kehidupan sesuai perkembangan sikon zaman. Hampir sama perkembangan peran si Kuncung dan si Bawuk, hanya saja yang ini lebih pada cerminan karikatural sikon anak-anak hingga pra remaja, sesuai dengan bentuk karakternya. Karakter asli lokal, bentuk karakter lucu, sifat karikatural, luas ditempatkan pada sikon zaman kapanpun. Sikon problematik apapun merupakan aspek penting mendasar bagi saya ikut serta mengembangkan, menerapkan karakter-karakter tersebut dalam olah ide kreatif gambar. Disesuaikan dengan tema dan topiknya untuk kebutuhan lokal, nasional, internasional. Tentu tidak semua tema dan topik bisa dimunculkan karakter Punakawan, si Kuncung dan si Bawuk. Namun setidaknya karakter tersebut bisa ditambahkan sebagai unsur gambar pendukung atau pelengkap seperti peran figuran, namun punya arti yang cukup penting. Sesuai catatan perjalanan karya gambar saya, karakter Punakawan serta karakter si Kuncung dan si Bawuk telah saya tambahkan diantaranya pada gambar kaos komunitas badminton, gambar komik karya TA Kampus Pasca Sarjana, gambar komik karya pameran Nandur Serawung yang pertama, Taman Budaya DIY, gambar ilustrasi topik HIV/AIDS kerjasama Indonesia Filipina, karya internasional, gambar ilustrasi komunitas di Junction ASEAN, gambar internasional. Selaras dengan tema pameran kali ini terkait New Normal COVID-19, olah ide kreatif dari saya pun akan tetap berupaya untuk menambahkan karakter khas lokal Punakawan dan si Kuncung dan si Bawuk dalam merespon sikon menghadapi new normal ini. Karakter Punakawan bisa berbagi peran secara luas sesuai dengan topik yang diangkat. Juga sesuai dengan pihak yang tengah dihadapi, apakah itu pejabat, aparat, atau masyarakat. Ada karakter tua bijak, semar, togok, sangi. Ada karakter pengumpan, penyindir, penyimpul, garing, petruk, bagong. Ada karakter korban lelucon, sarawita, limbuk. Ada karakter pecundang, sakil, putu terong, dan sebagainya. Adapun karakter anak remaja, tampakkan si Kuncung dan si Bawuk. Karakter dewasa, bijak, bapak dan ibu Kuncung Bawuk. Berbagi peran dan bawakan pesan, informasi, saran, sindiran, kritikan seputar hal materi new normal ini, misalnya seperti tertib masker, tertib cuci tangan, tidak salaman, jaga jarak, tidak berkerumun jumlah banyak, jalankan cukup banyak menu online, batasi acara online, tidak banyak lakukan perjalanan ke daerah lain, terutama zona merah dan hitam, menjaga kunjungan dari zona merah dan hitam. Kesimpulan, di zaman global ini dirasakan makin banyak singgungan interaksi antar suku, antar bangsa, yang sebagian dengan tampakan ciri khas lokal masing-masing, nilai arti penting tampakan olah ide kreatif dengan ciri khas budaya tradisional lokal diri. Ya. Salam lokal tradisional untuk interaksi global. Asnar Zahid, 10 November 2020.
Interesting. Okay, I will continue to the second speaker. But before I introduced him to you, I have to extend the committee apology to this man, Gunnar. We're sorry that we make you to wake up this early. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, since 2000, he has been a professor of industrial design and design presentation at the University of Applied Science and Arts, Hanover, Germany. He is really into the development of design thinking and also entrepreneurship. that brings him to visit to many countries in the world, of course, including Indonesia. Pak Gunnar, you have 15 minutes at the most. Please, the audience are yours.
Yes. Hello. Nice to see you and nice to see some very well-known faces here on the cam. I would like to express my gratitude to talk to you again here, and I will share my screen. Just wait a minute. So, yeah, good morning. It feels like middle in the night for me, as you already said, but it's an honor for me to talk to you, and I only have 15 minutes, so let me go on. I would like to talk about the reborn future. Actually, my screen is not switching. What happened? Yeah, there it is. So, reborn future, and I was asked to talk to you about my maybe current work. To show my current work, maybe you have to understand what I am already have done and who I am. So my beginning of the career was this cutting board, a recyclable cutting board made of a reused polyethylene, designed in 1987 and at home still in use since 1988. An awarded product, part of the collection of some state museums, sold around 300,000 times. And for me, it is my entrepreneurial story. It is my story, my beginning of being a designer, being a producer, being an entrepreneur, and more important, having an intention of designing economic and ecologic responsible products. I really failed often in this career, and while I'm teaching design thinking, I always have to remember, yeah, this product is the result of being active, being there, and having a kind of sensibility. What has happened, what is there, and it was just a coincidence that I've developed this with my colleagues in that time. My current status is, maybe you wonder what it is. I would say I'm a kind of pirate in the sector of different companies. Of course, I'm also more than that. My beginning as a designer, you already know, and my status now is, yeah, it's a husband, it's a father, it's a professor. It could be everything. Maybe my core status is being creative and having a deep interest in our future. Yeah, and it is still dark here in Hanover, in Germany. And worldwide, we are facing the pandemic situation, the climate change. We have to renew, I guess, our democracies. We have in Germany a demographic change. We have racism task. We have religious extremism, terrorism, corona. And it's not enough to get up early. We have to do something. How do we face these challenges? I would say it is needed to democratize digitization, bring it to everybody, educate. It is necessary to be prepared for the kairos, the tipping point, the fruitful moment. And that's why I liked the contribution of my respected colleague, Asmariaki, when he was talking about drawing and the drawing as an ability to stand close to their family members. So we have to be in a good relationship when our future will come and should last for a long time. So how to enable the next generations or everyone, and that's what is my current status, how to enable. And the future skills, and I was already talking about this a few days or weeks ago, are creativity, are problem solving, the competence to adapt, to stand for it, persistence, and an entrepreneurial mindset and self-initiative. And when I'm talking about my actually work, you will find these skills maybe. So this is one example. It's a eco-friendly packaging design for an organic instant meal. Instant meals are rising. More and more people are using instant meals during this nomadic kind of work, during being mobile, being on the run. It's not very good, I think, that you always need to have an instant meal. It would be better to prepare your meal and to take it with you, and you have some meal, maybe for lunch or dinner. But we have to accept people loves the convenient way of using instant meals, but on the market there are less organic instant meals. And my job was to develop an eco-friendly packaging design for an instant meal. And again, I had to try to design responsible. And I know using not composite materials is one aspect. I thought I could use recycled paper, and I knew recycled paper is made of 20–30% of new paper ingredients, and I tried to replace it, and we replaced it by grass. And I don't really like this plastic around food, even when it's organic food, but it is the most hygienic way to wrap food. So I was wondering how to make this fact better. And on the sorting machines, the clean sorting of the different plastics in Germany is quite difficult. And we could find a plastic what is nearly 100% identifiable by the sorting machines to make it recyclable. So we were using this as an additional packaging for the instant meal to stay safe, what it means for food, of course, in this hygienic aspects. And what I've learned during my career, it is very important to have the smallest possible dimension for a product, because you ship it from A to B, you bring it with big trucks from Munich to Hamburg, and this meal is going on the highways, and you should try to have a very small package. So maybe you see just with these insights, there are a lot of aspects in just designing a package for an organic instant meal. And I show you one example, what we propose to do to the company. It is on the left side, you see it, a packaging what is very small. You can take it in your bag and you unwrap it. And with this unwrapping procedure, you get a bigger kind of bowl for your meal. Cut off, open the plastic bag, pour in some hot water, and you can use it on your way. This was the idea. The company liked it, but, and this is a story for designers, often the strategy changed and the company decided not to go for this product. They liked the idea, they were wondering, is this really integrability? Is there an integrability of the ideas into the market? Will the customer understand there is a small package and there's a great experience to get it, and will they like to eat it? With the change of the strategy, this product wasn't done, wasn't realized, and the manufacturer of these organic food gave us the contract to design a new packaging, and this is already on the market. But let me show you a next example, and maybe this is an idea for you. So when Corona came and the lockdown, the first lockdown has been in Germany happened, it was a soft lockdown, to be honest. I missed my workshops in presence. So when I'm working in the university, I am giving a lot of workshops in presence. I am activating, I am empowering my students, and I'm doing this as well in the business sector. And yes, I need to do it. It is a deep intention for me to bring this idea of being creative, solving problems, innovating, self-initiating something is a passion for me, and I couldn't live this passion during the lockdown. So what could I do? Normally, I am in the middle of a group producing more and more knowledge and finding solutions for these upcoming challenges and a better world. And the EC in Yogyakarta know me maybe acting in the middle of a group outside on the campus, maybe having fun, but working serious on the future as well. And now I had to redesign all my workshops to take care for the message I would like to send out. And I was wondering how to connect the real life with this virtual sceneries on front of the camps. And I prepared a lot of gifts for my participants in the workshops. The gifts were sent by post to them. And in these, I call it wonder boxes, in these wonder boxes, there has been a kind of catering. And in the boxes has been, for example, the instant meal I just were talking about. The company liked it that I am going to buy a lot of meals and sending it out as a catering in the workshops. But it's not only to send in real life in front of the camera the packagings with some catering for them. It is also a wonder box with some tools, with some learning stuff, with some examples of some startups like a plastic-free gum by a Dutch startup, with games, with questions, something they can handle in front of the camera. And last week I've done it in a seminar provided by Ibu Ivara and Pak Manu again, and I think it works. And I feel like people suddenly engaged and feeling connected to the other ones on the opposite side behind the cameras, unwrapping the next surprise in these bags. And yeah, what should I say? It works. That's the one side. But the other side is, it is the fruitful moment. It's the kairos to do this now, to develop it, to stay for your intention, to work on it, to work on the future, and to take care for your own future skills. And the last example, I was wondering, yeah, okay, I'm connecting now the reality and the virtuality, the online and the offline spaces. But didn't I have the chance to have a kind of more based digital business model? And I was wondering, what do I have? I am creative and I'm interested in innovation and I'm quite structured. I don't like to structure, but I am quick in structuring something. And I knew quite early there is an upcoming new standard. It is an official standard by the International Standard Organization called the ISO 56002. It is on the market since July 2019, and it's the standard for innovation management systems. So some companies feel unsettled about innovation and transformation, and to get the label of ISO 56002, they have to be sovereign in initiating innovation in their companies. So I was wondering, what could I do? And this standard is defining 7 dimensions in a company you have to take care for. It's how to support your innovators. It's the process or the aspect of the operations in your company. It is the aspect of key performance indicators, so to measure your success. It is to learn from failures. It is the context of operations in your organizations. It's a matter of leadership, and it is a matter of planning. And when I'm showing this picture of my daughter, it is a picture what this standard of innovation management want to go for. So the hand and the fingers of my daughters are these dimensions of a company, and the pencil is maybe the future or what a company is working on. And balancing this with one finger is quite difficult and let you feel insecure. With 2 or more fingers, you feel more and more safe to handle as a company, save the future. And when you are pretty good in it, you are able to work with it and to bring out something into the future. So that is maybe my ongoing work. I founded a company called Innotonic. We are offering on the digital base an analysis for companies how ready you are to work on a good way to innovate and to make your own company ready for the future. So this is my contribution. Try to adapt in this pandemic situation. Try to live persistence, be self-initiative, use your creativity, and ask yourself, where is a problem to solve? Thanks and stay healthy. That is my contribution.
Terima kasih Pak Gunnar. I'm sure that participants have already have questions in their head, but we still have to be patient till the end of the presentation session. Okay, now we have to go back to ISI Yogyakarta to meet Bapak Lutse Lambert Daniel Morin, MSN. He is currently a lecturer of Sculpture Department of Visual Art Faculty of ISI Yogyakarta. And academician, he is also an enthusiast artist. He researches and creates artworks. Pak Lutse, the next 15 minutes is yours.
Nama saya Lutse Lambert Daniel Morin. Saya seorang pematung, juga pengajar di Fakultas Seni Rupa Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta. Sejak tahun 1998, saya menggeluti dunia patung hingga saat ini saya menjadi seorang pendidik terhadap mahasiswa-mahasiswa di lingkungan Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Yogyakarta, tepatnya di jurusan Seni Murni. Dalam karya saya, yang akan saya tampilkan berbentuk laba-laba. Mengapa saya pilih laba-laba? Karena laba-laba adalah satu fobia atau ketakutan saya terhadap binatang tersebut. Untuk mendekatkan diri saya terhadap laba-laba tersebut, saya mencoba mengeksplorasi sejak 20 tahun yang lalu. Karya laba-laba merupakan terapi bagi diri saya. Kemudian saya ingin mempresentasikan bagaimana jaringan atau sifat laba-laba membuat jaringan adalah sesuatu dunia sosial yang sangat menarik di dunia ini. Karya saya laba-laba ini terdiri dari barang bekas dengan mempunyai ciri-ciri atau konsep bentuk dengan mengambil barang-barang sesuai dengan ide atau konsep dasar laba-laba itu sendiri. Lampu sebagai mata, karena mata adalah suatu cara untuk seseorang atau makhluk hidup itu berjalan ke depan, melihat masa depan. Perut saya menggunakan wajan atau tempat penggorengan, frying pan, itu sebagai simbol bagaimana orang memasak, bagaimana orang memberlangsungkan hidup di dunia ini dengan mengisi kehidupannya. Jaring laba-laba merupakan suatu motor untuk pergerakan di dunia dan memberikan suatu kesempatan yang terbaik bagi sosial pada saat ini. Saat pandemi, tanpa jaringan sosial, manusia tidak akan dapat hidup. Dengan teknik las, teknik aditif, sambung satu dengan yang lain merupakan satu ikatan terhadap dunia sosial di muka bumi ini. Saya pernah pameran di Budapest, Hungaria, Seoul, Korea Selatan, Bangkok, Thailand, dan Indonesia sendiri, terutama di Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta. Kampus tercinta ini semoga menjadi suatu cerminan yang terbaik bagi masyarakat, bagi seniman, untuk membuat jaringan yang lebih istimewa pada dunia lain. Motivasi dan spirit sebagai pematung antara lain memberikan suatu semangat bagaimana menggugah dunia, bagaimana memberikan suatu pencerahan apa itu sosial bermasyarakat dan berkesenian untuk menyambung kelangsungan hidup di antara generasi ke generasi berikutnya. Semoga karya 3 dimensi, inspirasi patung laba-laba ini menjadikan suatu spirit yang terbaru, menjadikan suatu jaringan yang kekal abadi sampai selama-lamanya. Salam seni, sejahtera bagi kita semuanya.
Thank you, Pak Lutse. Short presentation, but quite rich. Okay, now we all go to Australia to meet Dr. Edwin Christian Marcel Jurins. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. Forgive me if I mispronounce it. His current position is a senior lecturer in Indonesian Studies, Asia Institute, Faculty of Arts, University of Melbourne. He is also a very active writer and book editors, researchers, and also supervisors of thesis projects. If I read you his curriculum vitae, it will take until tomorrow because it is as long as 20 pages. So I won't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Edwin Christian Marcel Jurins.
All right, thank you very much. A big thanks to ISI Yogyakarta for inviting me for today's event. And also a special thanks to Ibu Hening Tias for chairing our session. Jadi selamat siang teman-teman di Indonesia dan rekan-rekan ISI yang terhormat. I will also try to share my screen. All right, can you all see that? Yep. So for today's presentation, I wrote a short essay that I'd like to present. So hopefully I can do it within the 15 minutes. I'll try my best. And the title is, Will the Post-COVID Be the New Normal? The Role of Art and Artists. So by early November 2020, more than 1.2 million people had died from COVID-19, from a total of more than 47 million confirmed cases worldwide. The pandemic has caused bereavement, has impacted on people's physical and mental health, and has disturbed social life, education, and the economy on a scale that has been unprecedented in recent decades. More than anything else, it is expected to define the future of the millennial generation. Schools, universities, offices, and shops have been temporarily or indefinitely closed. Job opportunities have been frozen, and unemployment and poverty have risen. Since the early outbreak of the coronavirus, paradoxically, there have also been widespread expressions of hope about a better future. These expectations are based on the new types of behavior that the pandemic has forced upon people. A commonly heard phrase, at least in Australia, has been, "We're all in this together," urging people to more than ever exercise caution and patience, be friendly to others, reconnect with their families, slow at their pace, explore their neighborhoods, develop new professional skills, including the use of new communication and information technology, and rediscover the joys of simple forms of home entertainment, such as baking cakes, reading books, or playing board games. Where the economic and technological infrastructure permits, adults and children have been encouraged or expected to work and study from home, which has the additional benefit of greater flexibility in time management and reducing the financial cost of commuting. It has also contributed to a reduction in traffic congestion and exhaust gases, thus decreasing some of the pressure on our natural environment. Perhaps most surprisingly, even conservative governments with a neoliberal agenda have increased funding for healthcare and released relatively generous packages for saving jobs and businesses. Most importantly, people have argued, we will truly appreciate all the aspects of our pre-lockdown lifestyles that we used to take for granted. Once the pandemic is gone or a vaccine has been found, there will be a new, better normal, the common discourse goes. So the main question for me today is, will the post-COVID be the new normal indeed? I believe extreme caution needs to be in place about making connections between a pandemic and a form of society, and between newness and normality. It takes more than a relatively short period of behavioral change to instigate long-lasting political and social change. There's a high risk that instead of the emergence of a new normal, the normal old will return with a vengeance in a more intensified form. And the signs for this are already visible. So after seemingly being taken off guard for a very short moment, the dominant neoliberal powers have started to regroup and prepare for applying their conventional approach to crises, not as moments for reflection and societal renewal, but as welcome opportunities for increasing financial gain. The highly commercialized education sector in Australia proves the point. While initially providing or at least promising extra support for students and staff, very soon universities and schools announced plans for what would amount to the highest number of staff reductions in the history of the education sector. This was well before any precise indication of the impact of the pandemic on student numbers or other sources of income. This type of decision-making seems to confirm the adage of American philosopher Frederick Jameson, that it has become easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. It clearly takes more than a vaccine to turn the post-COVID into the new normal. So what is the medicine? Structural change is needed, not temporary behavioral change, to truly instill values such as community building, social equity, inclusiveness, and environmental sustainability. What is often missing in the discourse of the new normal is a critical analysis of the political structures that have created and held in place the normal old. So how would it be possible to institutionalize a community spirit and environmental awareness among other commonly declared post-pandemic values if the hegemonic political and social systems will continue to promote individualism and lifestyles and business practices that are detrimental to the natural environment? In connection with another major international crisis, the 1991 Gulf War, the French philosopher Jean Baudrillard wrote in 3 separate essays before, during, and after the war, respectively, that the war wouldn't take place, wasn't taking place, or didn't take place. This was not to deny the reality of the war. On the contrary, it was meant to point to its very harshness, which was taken out of sight by a combination of clean war and precise targeting discourse and high-altitude game-style digitizations of seemingly deserted buildings and landscapes on the ground. In a similarly skeptical interpretation of the discourse around the COVID crisis, one could come to the conclusion that the new normal will not take place either. It is clear that the pandemic is happening, and most likely there will be a way out of it into a post-COVID era. At the same time, however, it is rather useless to broadcast the slogan of the new normal if the conditions of the existing normal are rarely addressed, let alone explained. In this regard, artists with their creative and critical skills have an important role to play in mapping and analyzing the pro-COVID era, as well as generating imaginative and sustainable scenarios for the post-pandemic future. In the remainder of this essay, I will focus on the opportunities and challenges of promoting alternative forms of social organization through art as a possible building blocks of a new normal. And I will specifically deal with artists engaging with the idea of the Creative Commons, as the Commons refers to the accessibility and sharing of resources, while also connoting a utopian expectation of what is to become common, or that is a new normality. And my examples are all from Indonesia. So in the period 2013-2015, Kunci Cultural Studies Center in Yogyakarta collaborated with the Dutch organization CASCO, the Office for Art, Design and Theory, and the Stedelijk Museum Bureau Amsterdam on the Made in Commons program, which also included publications and exhibitions. It showcased the work of 10 Indonesian and European artists and art collectives who all engaged with the Commons theme, including collaboration, sharing of resources, discussion about issues such as labor, ownership, authorship, artistic control, open participation, knowledge sharing, power hierarchies, and decentralization. Their artwork explored and was inspired by the collective mobilization of resources through a variety of media and platforms, such as the internet, traditional crafts, agriculture cooperatives, and other collectives. It included a critique of capitalism and a search for alternatives to the monetization of social relations and the access to natural resources. The idea of the commons is also reflected in the name, ideas, and practices of another Indonesian art collective, the Common Room Networks Foundation, established in 2006 in Bandung. It presents itself as an open platform for the study and development of art, culture, and information and communications technology. Its members have analyzed Bandung's urban development from the perspectives of cultural diversity, the use of open source technology, and environmental sustainability. They believe that open source media technology is an effective means to create awareness about the problems caused by the worldwide increase in urbanization, such as intergroup conflicts, the degradation of living conditions, and the decrease in natural resources. One of their routine activities has been the New Substance Festival for New Media Art and Urban Ecology, which has been organized since 2007. So the aim of this festival is to explore how art and technology can involve ordinary citizens in finding solutions or alternatives to some of the core problems of urbanization. And also, very interestingly, they have collaborations with communities in rural West Java with similar interests in art and technology, especially the Kasepuhan Cipta Gelar in rural West Java. So as these examples illustrate, making information accessible and sharing it is key to furthering the ideal of the commons. Another strategy applied by Indonesian art collectives is so-called hacktivism, which is a contraction of data hacking and activism. While some hacking strategies may come close to cyber terrorism or cyber warfare, in general, hacktivism may cause temporary disorder or infringe intellectual property rights or security systems, but it's not meant to create permanent damage. And three interesting examples from Jogja are the House of Natural Fiber, XX Lab, and Live Page. So just to give you some background on one of these collectives, XX Lab, this is, I think, a really interesting example because of the gender dimension. So this is an all-female collective whose members include House of Natural Fiber co-founder Irina Agrivina, among others. And its concepts and projects relate to gender, hacking strategies, and open source hardware and software, and the reappropriation of daily practices and objects. So similar to Common Room Networks Foundation and also House of Natural Fiber, XX Lab explores previously undetected or understudied links between waste management, food and fuel shortage or unaffordability, and poverty reduction. And they seek artistic and innovative solutions. So one of their projects you also find in the PowerPoint slide, 2015 project Soya Culture or Soya Couture, which used digital and biological hacking methods to design haute couture, fashion, and other items. The clothes were made from a leather-look biofabric, which was based on the liquid waste of tempeh and other soy industries that cause pollution of the Indonesian rivers and soils. Other products made by the collective were soy waste-based edible cellulose, biofuel, and fertilizer. So the development of businesses using these techniques could potentially alleviate some of the economic problems in low-income areas. So the Indonesian art collectives and the projects have been trying to promote a new normal in various ways. They are based on the principles of collective ownership and management. They collaborate with and try to represent the interests of diverse and in some cases marginalized groups in society, including women, the urban poor, farmers, and rural communities. They encourage the accessibility and exchange of information from multiple sources, including a broad range of creative practices, academic disciplines, and traditional knowledge fields. Moreover, they not only provide practical solutions to dealing with environmental pollution, but also give examples of more sustainable forms of urban design, agriculture, and everyday product creation and consumption. Because of their creative and critical skills and their ongoing commitment to the cause, the idea of the commons has received more resonance within the art world and society at large. For instance, the 2015 Jogja Biennale had hacking conflict as its major theme. And the curator of this Biennale, Wotobiwoa, or Walk the Rock, observed that in the Biennale and in Indonesia more generally, the idea of hacking goes beyond the use of technology. It refers to a broader field of collaborative social practices. At the same time, the art world itself also shows that the normal old is always there to come back with a vengeance. So only 1 year after the hacking conflict Biennale, a fierce debate erupted in the Yogyakarta art community about the sponsorship of the contemporary art fair, ArtJog 9 in 2016. And the issue was debated was the sponsorship. One of the sponsors was Freeport Indonesia, which is an affiliate of US-based mining multinational Freeport McMoran. This company has a majority share in one of the world's largest gold and copper mines, the Grasberg mine in West Papua. And it has been criticized for cases related to the environment, human rights, and corruption. Critics, however, pointed out the irony that some of the participants in the ArtJog were artists who addressed environmental issues in their own work. So we have to continue asking critical questions about art projects, artists, and their motivations. Questions also about, for instance, the use of satellites and web cameras, whether they can support the rights of local groups or whether there might be misused for commercial interests, for instance. Also about the packaging and branding of rural products. Is this really to instigate more sustainable production and consumer habits, or is it more for serving the capitalist needs for the diversification of commodities and markets? What about other types of audiovisual and material mediation? Will this promote, for instance, ecotourism, or rather push environmentally destructive automobility to the remotest of locations, and also in relation to urban-rural artistic entanglements, will these develop the spirit of the coeval commons or rather fortify existing ideological hierarchies in the contemporary art world and society at large? So just to conclude, I believe that sincerity, consistency, and accountability are the key principles for the success of the creative initiatives and the success of the new normal. Because if not even the art world can uphold these principles, then the new normal will never take place. So that's my presentation. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. And I'm looking forward to your questions.
Terima kasih Kak Edwin. It seems that you speak Indonesian quite well. I hope this will be interesting later on. Okay. Next. Oh, before we go to the next speaker, I think I have to inform the participant that while enjoying the next presentation, you may start typing your questions through our Zoom chat. We prefer to have your question to be delivered through the chat. Okay. Next, we are going to have the only female speaker in this workshop. Her name is Dr. Anda Changyang Purwo Sejati M.Hum. She is a lecturer at the Craft Department, Visual Arts Faculty, ISI Yogyakarta. Her specialty is batik, and because of batik, she has been involving in so many activities related to it, researches, workshops, and also trainings. Ibu Changyang, the next 15 minutes is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Changyang Purwo Sejati, staf pengajar jurusan Kriya, Fakultas Seni Rupa ISI Yogyakarta. Pada kali ini saya ingin menyampaikan hasil penelitian saya tentang penggunaan tumbuhan sebagai zat warna alam pada kain sutra. Kita tahu bahwa wabah COVID-19 ini sudah melanda dunia dan sampai juga ke Indonesia, dan ini memberikan dampak yang terlihat nyata dalam berbagai bidang, yaitu diantaranya ekonomi, sosial, pariwisata, dan pendidikan. Pelaksanaan pendidikan di Indonesia dalam masa pandemi COVID-19 ini juga mengalami beberapa perubahan yang terlihat nyata. Contohnya saja tidak adanya perkuliahan secara tatap muka di kelas. Semua perkuliahan dilakukan secara daring. Walaupun perkuliahan dilakukan secara daring, sebagai dosen saya harus tetap melaksanakan tridharma perguruan tinggi. Di antaranya adalah penelitian. Kali ini saya melakukan penelitian tentang zat warna alam yang bisa digunakan untuk mewarnai kain. Zat warna alam yang digunakan berasal dari tumbuh-tumbuhan yang hidup di sekitar kita saja atau lokal dan mudah didapatkan, yaitu tumbuhan atau pohon kluih, atau dalam bahasa latinnya adalah Artocarpus camansi. Saya melihat bahwa ketika buah kluih dikupas, maka menunjukkan perubahan warna kecoklatan. Ya. Ini mengindikasikan bahwa buah tersebut mempunyai potensi atau mengandung zat warna yang dapat digunakan untuk pewarnaan. Hal ini juga menginspirasi saya untuk melakukan penelitian lebih lanjut. Kemudian saya melakukan eksperimen pengambilan zat warna alam dari pohon kluih ini yang meliputi daun, buah, kulit kayu dan akar. Nah, ini saya lakukan dengan cara merebus maupun kontak secara langsung dengan memakai daunnya. Nah, pewarnaan ini juga dilakukan dengan cara celup maupun dengan cara ekoprint pada sutra, ya, sehingga untuk pewarnaan dengan celup ini warna yang dihasilkan mempunyai kecenderungan kecoklatan dan ini tergantung pemakaian veksasinya. Hanya saja untuk veksasi dengan tawas ini tidak bisa memunculkan warna dengan jelas sehingga yang digunakan adalah kapur dan tunjung yang dapat menunjukkan warna dengan jelas. Untuk ekoprint, satu warna tersebut dapat memunculkan warna yang sangat bagus, yaitu warna orange dengan veksasi kapur, hijau tua dengan veksasi tunjung. Hal ini jarang ditemukan pada pewarnaan alam dari daun-daun yang lain. Kita lihat misalnya karya ini. Ya, ini dengan bahan sutra, dengan teknik jemputan. Ini saya lakukan dengan cara celup, ya. Setelah dijemput kemudian dicelup dan kemudian kita veksasi tanpa dibuka, kita veksasi dengan tunjung. Ini memberikan warna yang coklat kehitaman. Ya, kemudian kita cuci lagi, kemudian kita warna lagi dan kita veksasi dengan kapur. Maka yang warna tua dia tetap berwarna tua, sedangkan yang kemudian difiksasi dengan kapur menunjukkan warna yang muda. Ya. Kemudian ada kain lain yang ini yang dilakukan dengan cara kontak langsung dengan daun yang dikukus selama 2 jam. Ya. Ini bisa memunculkan warna orange, ya, cukup bagus dan ini saya kira untuk daun-daun yang lain belum bisa menunjukkan warna orange seperti ini. Dan ini akan lebih bagus lagi bila kain sutranya mungkin lebih tebal lagi dan pengolahan awal atau mordannya cukup bagus. Dia akan memunculkan warna yang orange-nya hampir orange kemerahan, ya, lebih terlihat dengan bagus. Untuk veksasi yang berbeda, sama dengan cara ekoprint, veksasinya berbeda. Ini memunculkan warna yang hijau kehitaman, ya, hijau kehitaman. Ini juga sangat bagus sekali, jejaknya bagus, garis pinggirnya atau tepaknya, ya, tapaknya itu bagus sekali, jelas, ya, bagus sekali. Nah, kemudian untuk kombinasi teknis, misalnya kita ingin membuat dalam satu kain itu ada kombinasi teknik, misalnya dengan dibatik dulu atau kemudian dengan jemputan dan dengan ekoprint, maka kita harus hati-hati. Misalnya dengan batik kita harus membatik dulu, pembatikan selesai kita beri ruang untuk ekoprint, kemudian baru di ekoprint sehingga warna ekoprintnya tetap muncul dengan cemerlang dengan bagus. Tapi kalau misalnya kita ekoprint dulu baru dibatik, maka ketika melalui proses perebusan perebusan lilin untuk menghilangkan lilin, maka warna di ekoprint akan turun, ya. Jadi sebaiknya memang dilakukan dengan pembatikan dulu, baru kemudian dilakukan dengan ekoprint. Nah, ini yang saya lakukan, ini yang dengan di ekoprint kemudian baru dijemput. Ini tidak masalah, mau ekoprint dulu atau mau jemput dulu tidak masalah, karena tidak dilakukan pemanasan. Jadi memang untuk menguji apakah warna itu dia tahan dengan pewarnaan untuk kain, itu dilakukan dengan cara dipanaskan seperti di batik. Kalau misalnya dia di batik dia tidak bisa, maka warna itu dia bagus. Misalnya seperti pewarnaan alam dengan warna kayu secang, itu tidak bisa dilakukan dengan pembatik. Kalau di batik dia akan warnanya lunturnya banyak sekali, yaitu berarti dia warna itu tidak bisa dilakukan dengan pemanasan, ya. Tapi kalau dia di batik dia bisa, berarti dia bisa mempunyai warna dengan baik. Nah, ini yang bisa saya sampaikan. Mudah-mudahan para pemirsa yang lain bisa melaksanakan juga membuat kain-kain dengan satu warna alam, tapi pesan saya kita menggunakan tumbuh-tumbuhan, kita juga harus bertanggung jawab paling tidak dengan menanam juga sehingga kita tetap memelihara keberlangsungan dari tumbuh-tumbuhan tersebut. Saya kira itu yang bisa saya sampaikan. Akhirul kalam, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ibu Janjang. It would be very interesting if you can demonstrate the way of you dye your cloth. Okay, the last speaker, he comes from Thailand. Mr. Firawat Sirivesmas, PhD. He is an assistant professor, full-time lecturer, a supervisor of PhD program in Design Arts, Faculty of Creative Arts, Chipakorn University, Thailand. He also has been active in researching and publishing papers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Firawat Sirivesmas.
Hello, good morning, everyone. And first, I have to thank to the EC Yogyakarta to create this kind of the events, and we are very honored to join. And okay, first, I would like to introduce myself as the moderator has already addressed this. My background is from fine arts, sculptures, and I have an experience to study in Italy for the product design, luxury product design. And then I went to study in my research programs in doctoral program in Birmingham in UK. And then I came back to Silvercorn University towards 2005, 2006, and then worked as the university lecturers. And from that, I used to be the head department of the jewelry design, and now I become deputy deans of the research and international affairs for the Faculty of Decorative Arts. And certainly we are looking for more collaborations internationally and try to collaborate in the research projects. And yes, I would like to share my lectures. Yes. Okay. It's coming yet? Okay. Okay. Yes, my topics related to the theme events. So we rethink, remake, and reborn the visual arts research project in a new life orders. And first of all, this we say that all-time general workshops like before the pandemic situations. Yeah. So all of the activities that related to the workshops amongst institutions that encourage us to move in, yeah, to join to each other, yeah, we travel in and out, inbound, outbound, to make a project. Yeah. That is the situation before, right? I got some projects that last year towards the end of last year, yeah, the student of the Silvercorn universities, the PhD student, we went to join a project in Florence at the Accademia di Belle Arti of Florence there. So a collaboration research project between two institutions has been organized there, based on the interesting of the geographically of each cities. So the project is about the city of the rivers. It's a kind of the comparative study between the Florence city and the Bangkok. But it's not really a comparative study, but it's the brief to let the students to get things and find some research problems and research solutions together in terms of the art and design projects. Yeah. This is the events that happens on the last years. Yes, and the outcome is, yeah, a group of the graduates postgraduate students among two institutions has been regroupings in different nationalities and running the projects together. Yeah. Almost 10 days in Florence. The outcome is a presentations projects that located in that area. Yes. Also last year, yes, a group of the EC Jogja staff has been visit Silpakorn universities. Yes, it's October 28, 2019. Yeah. And a big groups that we also host with welcomes exchange exhibitions both of the EC Jogja and Silpakorn universities at our original historical campus. Yes. And the deputies, the representative of the Indonesian ambassadors there, Dr. Ustalis there, also via chairpersons of the exhibitions. Yeah. We also remember a good of the discussions about the collaborations between two institutions will be expanded. And that is the events before the pandemics. Yeah. So it's the move, the what is it? Interactions, engagings, physical engagements. Yeah, means once in the situation of pandemics, mostly becomes shift to the platform to online lectures, online exhibitions like we are doing now. Fortunately, until now, Thailand and Bangkok is in a quite good conditions of the pandemic situation. The government has well controlled. However, we also preparing for the second step back in near future. However, we need to aware. So the situations about the academics and collaboration or with so-called workshops that is also changed. Physical distancing, yeah, or even the online situations like this. Yes. We have some exhibitions, exchanging exhibition with Taiwan's. So the Chian's universities from Taiwan has been contacted, yeah, and we arrange an exhibitions together by shipping, yeah, exhibitions, shipping the artifacts from Taiwan to Bangkok. And one of the Taiwan's representatives already been in Bangkok for a long time. So we gathering just people that been around there. This is the exhibitions. Basically is belong to the Department of the Fashions and Textile. So projects of the Taiwanese universities has been chipped and displayed in the gallery in Silpakorn University, Bangkok. Then we open to the public, yeah, to access to the exhibitions with limit visitors and social distancing. Yeah. So this just last few months ago. Also, we also host the keynote speakers. This is from the university's Memorial Days. So we so-called Sinpirasi's Memorial Days. It's the 15th September 2020. Sinpirasi is the name of the Italian professor's original name, Professor Corrado Ferrucci, who came from Italy in the early of 20th centuries, yes, maybe 70 years ago, and founded Silpakorn universities. So it's a memorable days for the universities. And this kind of events, we also invited keynote speaker from abroad. And yes, the situation we have to run is the online lectures. Professor Luca Viviani is the Italian professor who's teaching at the Academy of Florence of Fine Arts there. He also one of the Professor Corrado Ferrucci nephew. Yes, and certainly the plans has already been projects from the last year. We actually would like to invite, all of the keynote speaker comes and run the workshops there, but maximum that we can do is the online lectures. Lift the lockdowns, we would say, even now in Bangkok or many countries is starting to lift the lockdown. I think Melbourne also, yes. And a visit, exchange and rotation is starting to plan, yes. So a kind of a little bit of the distancings or rotations or the events will be also adjusted. First of all, a group of the researchers, of the Silvergone universities, now we can go on site visitings there, on site field trips. We have collaborated with the PTT Global Chemical, is one of the petroleum companies in Thailand. That's one of the biggest. Yes, that's also support the fundings for the research in the old town of the Rayong. Rayong province is maybe 200 kilometers away from the Bangkok. It's an old town that is allowed the researchers to visit, and then we have a meetings, a workshop with the people in the communities. We try to engage with the people in the communities in order to collaborate and make some of the art activities with the people in the communities. So visitings, talkings, workshopping, and maybe early of the next month, we arrange public art in the communities. So the lift up, the lockdown is allow us to slightly gatherings, and after all, we also working online between the people. So it's allow us to starting to work. And another project is the collaborations project between the Faculty of Decorative Arts and the Faculty of Literatures in the same universities, because Silvergone universities. The project is between the art students, the design students, with the what is called the performance, music and performance students. The project was run on the last years, and the outcome is the art student is created a headdress, and a costumes to fit with the theme of the performing arts from the Faculty of Literatures. Until the early of this year, the February, we did the first rehearsals for the final shows, and then the pandemic strike to the Bangkok. So all of the activity we have to freeze, stopped. And then we just hold that projects and work on the learning and studying, online distancing until the last week. We rebrush this project again and let the student gatherings to have this performance on the auditoriums. The auditoriums, we have a kind of the 200 seated for the audience, but we are limited for just 30 or 40 seated to keep the social distancing, and let the students they run the performance for the final exhibitions. Actually, the project is about the project they call Crafty Scrap. Is collected all of the waste that belong to the 1 day or a week of the students' daily life, that mostly are the plastic bag or the what is called the products, the consumption product. the student collect those scrap materials and then transform those scrap material into a headdress, into a costume, into an artwork. Yeah. The theme of the performing is also related to the sustainable environment and how to make the people aware on this kind of the global warmings of this kind of the wastings. So we run this kind of project together and set up the story of the performing and shows in the auditorium last week. That is all of the workshops that we try to launch in the different situations before, during, and now we say that it should be a late stage of the pandemic situation. Hopefully, it's because the news about the virus is announcing. However, it maybe need a year that all of the vaccines will be expanded to distribute to many people. So what next? I think is we maybe need to keep the way that we are working together, even some of the mixture between the online, between the exchanging materials, that between how can I say, exchanging material and online lecturers. And visiting is maybe difficulties. Even nowadays, many of the people is starting to travel, but we still have the state quarantines that we have to spend a month there in and out for that state quarantines. Hopefully that the situation will be getting better, and we look forward to its collaborations there. And yes, a newborn, a new situations or new normals is also changed. And we look forward to be continuous. Thank you very much. That is all about my presentations, and hopefully that will be connected to the themes. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Pak Irawan.
Yes.
Okay, participant. Now we come to the question and answer session. At the meantime, I already have a question for Professor Spellmeyer. It is from Bapak Anusapati. He is one of our faculty members. Here is the question. I am interested on your cutting board project. Could you tell us more about it, particularly on how the simple item could be well accepted by the public and selling successfully? Thank you. Okay, Professor Gunnar.
Yes, thanks for the question. It is 30 years ago. It's not a matter of getting older and older, but it's 33 years ago. And this means we have been in Germany in a time of, it was a kind of luxury decade. People started to enjoy life and consume more and more and more. The product market has been very much differentiated in these times. And I have had the luck to develop a recycled and recyclable product. And at the same time, Mercedes-Benz developed a car, and this car contains recycled fish boxes in the inside of the car. And the customers said, what? Recycled fish boxes? You use trash in a Mercedes-Benz? We don't want to have this Mercedes-Benz. So that was the time. And I feel like maybe it was our chance as a startup to come out with this product and to bring this idea of recycled, of eco-friendly products 87 into the market. And to make it as a success, the necessity was it has been an awarded product, so we had suddenly the public on our side, and more important, we have had the press on our side. So the press suddenly was telling about the 23-year-old guy, no, 23-year-old guy bringing out a recycled product into the market. And it was the first recycled and recyclable product made of plastic ever. So this was a reason to report about it. And with this, the idea came into the markets. And to be honest, I am disappointed what happens in the last 30 years. It is one generation. And in my opinion, every product should be recyclable, reusable, and recycled. But we're still producing a lot of waste, and we are not acting responsible.
Okay. I think this environmental problem is a very difficult problem in Indonesia, mainly because, in my opinion, the people awareness about the healthy, clean environment hasn't good enough. Professor Guna, do you have any suggestion of how can we raise awareness in Indonesian people about this?
Yeah, it is a matter of awareness, I guess, and education, and make clear what happens with our planet. So when I understood the first time that we are using the materials giving us on the planet, and we are taking it and throwing it away, when you understand this, you have a deep respect into our surrounding and our nature. So I guess we have to bring it to the people, and to consume less is maybe a good idea, but for a lot of people it is very unattractive. So as the designer, we have to develop solutions which are attractive to use for the people. They don't like to consume less. They want to have something, buy something, and we have to make this responsible to develop new ideas.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, I have another question here. It is from Bapak Trisna Pradita, a lecturer from the art management. This question goes to Bapak Lutse Lambert. I will translate it for you. It is about your artwork, because you create this artwork to cure your phobia. The question is, does it work?
Terima kasih Pak Trisna Pradita. Saya membuat laba-laba karena saya ketakutan dengan binatang tersebut. Kemudian saya ingin memberikan satu pematahan terhadap fobia saya untuk membuat laba-laba agar saya lebih dekat. Ternyata di dalam laba-laba tersebut ada suatu konsep jaringan, di mana jaringan itu untuk hidup di seluruh dunia. Jaringan sosial media, jaringan antar manusia, jaringan antar kehidupan, di mana konsep jaringan tersebut sudah dimiliki oleh laba-laba tersebut.
Okay, I think you haven't answered the question. Pertanyaannya adalah, apakah terapi yang Pak Lutse lakukan ini berhasil menyembuhkan fobia Bapak?
Sangat menyembuhkan.
Ah,
Dan saya
I see.
tidak
So,
takut terhadap laba-laba tersebut. Kemudian saya dapat menemukan konsep tentang jaringan di dalam laba-laba tersebut. Sebagai kekuatan, hidup seniman adalah jaringan.
okay, so the point is that he is now free from his phobia to the spider, and even he learned something from the spider, that they have the capability to create networking among them. And as an artist, he learned how to do that from the animal. Okay, terima kasih Pak Lutse. Again, another question for Professor Gunnar, Dr. Erwin, and also Dr. Firawat. What kind of elements or values that we should build more intensively beside the online-based communication in this pandemic, particularly how to educate the art students? This question comes from Ibu Wiwi Wulandari, a lecturer from the Fine Department. Okay, let me give the first chance to Dr. Firawat.
Okay, I think it's not easy. During these years we have tried the online, and we found that is even the teaching online, even the examination online, we found that is quite, how can I say, less contact between the lecturer and the student. Many of the students lost their concentrations. But I think one word that we would like to address is the engagement. Whatever that we try to engage with the students, is even the tools that are available nowadays, online or chat or whatever, or social distancing, is try to bring them to contact with us, engagements. Okay, yes.
Thank you, Pak Firawat. Let me meet Dr. Edwin now.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question, Ibu Wiwik. Yeah, I think when it comes to elements or values, I think what is really useful is to look beyond art and the arts, and to make it as interdisciplinary as possible. So when it comes to such a complex issue as the pandemic, yeah, we have to learn from each other. We have to learn from other disciplines. We can learn from. I mean, I'm learning a lot today from our colleagues and also from the participants. It's really great to see this very broad range of projects and initiatives, and I think that's exactly what keeps the students engaged. So we can learn from science when it comes to scientific solutions, for instance. But we can also come to, related to my own presentation, we can learn from political science, for instance, to understand better how, for instance, governments and businesses are dealing with issues that are relevant to the environment, to the pandemic. We can learn from literature when it comes to think of imaginative scenarios for the future, more sustainable scenarios for the future. Literature can be a really exciting field to explore. And also when it comes to values, religious studies, I think, can also be a very exciting area to explore about how to respect your fellow citizens, but also how to respect nature and to learn from nature and to learn with nature. And I think, also in this regard, Pak Lutze's artwork is quite interesting. Yeah, I would love to learn more about it. So I think it's not just about the phobia, but I suppose it's also about how to look from the perspective of spiders in this case. I think that's that's something that's new, something that we can all learn from. So these are just a few suggestions.
Okay, thank you, Pak Edwin. Professor Gunnar, you have responded the question by typing values and elements. Oops, sorry. You have something to say, please.
Yeah, I wrote it down in the chat. So the first thing is, don't worry about the old normal that seminars in presence are missing. So I often realize that my colleagues are worrying about it and try to have an online seminar like it would be in presence. We have to understand the potential and opportunities of online seminars and on the other side of the presence seminars. And then we have to use the opportunities during maybe online seminars. That is the first thing I would like to say. To the elements, make people empathic, creative, and empower them regarding the future skills. Ask yourself how to engage and empower them during an online seminar. So I am convinced that when students are learning, they connect it with the surrounding. So when we are on the campus at the EC with the German students, they will never forget these experiences. But what happens in an online conference? So I'm asking my students for the next ideation session, please wear sporting dresses. And everybody is wearing a sporting dress. And suddenly they are talking about what they are doing in their leisure time for sports. There are hip hop dancers, there are football fans, and suddenly this is connected with the insights and with the learning stuff you are trying to work out, and they are starting to be creative, and they remember what happens in this one sessions when they have wearing a sporting dress of their favorite football club, for example. And the third thing is, or another thing is, use the wonder boxes, use the technologies with chats, with voting sessions, with breakout sessions, bring them together more and more in discussions. It is easier now in an online seminar to bring them into a breakout session for 5 minutes, having a small dialogue, connect them, and take them back in your main classroom. In presence, this would need time. In online conferences and online seminars, it is much more easier. So thanks that it's.
Okay. Terima kasih Pak Gunnar. All right. This is next. It is for Mr. Kirawat again. And it's from your friend, Pak Dafri Yuryawan from the craft department. He says, hi Kirawat, it's good to see you virtually. It's great. Your presentation talks a lot about partnership and collaboration with various universities abroad, especially in research. So would it be possible for us to do the collabs research on bamboo, cocoa, or wood, or anything related?
Okay, right. Thank you. Say hello to Dr. Duffries. Yes, as my presentation shows the collaborations of exhibitions between Silpagon and Taiwan. I think many institutions also doing in this way. Yeah, we can discuss and make a brief and agreements on a brief For example, if we want to focus on the materials like bamboo, or techniques, craft technique like basketing, yeah, weavings, yeah, textiles, yeah, we can agree with the brief together, and then we can give that brief to our students or our researchers. Yeah. Then I think we give a certain time to let students to explore that brief, that theme, that maybe have some commons together, like under this pandemic situation. Once the outcome is come out, yeah, we can share online, we can share like an online exhibition, or even if the object is not too big, like a small objects, we can chip it, yeah, and let's student from Jogja, let student from Silvercon see the real objects. If the object is have some things new, experimentals, we can do that. As a project that I also mentioned, to work with in Layong province with the PTT, the Thailand petrochemical companies. The companies is very, I would say this kind of the company is quite in the state of the innovations. They have what is called the petrochemicals materials and the bypass, and they in-house they think about the how to it's recycling or upcycle those kind of materials. Yeah, that may be shift from the craft to more a little bit of the industrial designs. That's how the peoples use that kind of the upcycling or recycled materials. We can use that kind of the process and material as another brief and let the student to work out. Yeah, possible. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Firawat. Next question is for all speakers. It says, the pandemic really affect the economy situation and the standard of the society, especially in Indonesia. And he thinks that the same thing happened with the overseas speakers country. The question is, how art and artists who creating art can contribute to this situation, to bring the focus of the society to not just worried about the economic effect of the pandemic, but also to celebrate the life itself, as we are still given a chance to live even in the midst of the pandemic. The question is from Imar Minkit. That's a deep question. I will give the first chance to Bapak Asmariaki. Pertanyaannya Bapak, bagaimana peran seniman untuk mengalihkan perhatian masyarakat tidak hanya pada efek pandemi pada ekonomi saja, tetapi bagaimana kita seniman bisa membawa masyarakat untuk merayakan bahwa di tengah-tengah pandemi ini kita masih diberi kesempatan untuk hidup. Apa yang seniman bisa lakukan?
Di tengah suasana seperti ini, para seniman dari berbagai bidang berusaha untuk memukakan, memamerkan, mempertunjukkan sesuai dengan bidangnya. Jadi kalau misalnya dari bidang seni rupa, ya kami berusaha untuk menampilkan berbagai macam karya yang isinya bisa memberi makna tentang semangat kehidupan, tentang daya hidup seni budaya, ya. Sehingga tampilan atau tampakan atau makna yang dipamerkan di karya seni rupa
bisa diresapi sebagai hiburan maupun sebagai macam apa, memberi semangat dan inspirasi untuk menghadapi kehidupan sulit seperti itu.
Okay, so the point is that artists should keep creating artworks that tell people to keep their spirit to live and also inspire them to do better things. Okay, Ibu Janjan, next is you.
Baik, jadi menurut saya sebagai seniman memang kita tidak boleh berhenti meskipun berhenti menciptakan sesuatu meskipun dalam kondisi pandemi seperti ini. Justru ini membuat kita bisa lebih banyak berkarya karena banyak kita stay di rumah, ya, jadi bisa berkarya dengan baik dan kemudian apa yang telah kita buat tadi mungkin bisa disosialisasikan, ya, karena sekarang dunia sosmed lebih mudah untuk kita jangkau, untuk mengajak barangkali ke masyarakat yang menggeluti seperti apa yang kita buat. Misalnya saya membuat batik dengan warna alam, ya akan kita share ke masyarakat yang menggeluti juga di bidang itu, dan kita membuatnya juga dengan enjoy, dengan senang, jadi tidak terpaksa, tetapi justru nanti akan memunculkan barangkali ada masyarakat di situ menemukan hal-hal yang baru yang juga mereka bisa share juga kepada teman-teman yang lain. Jadi saya kira di situ akan memberikan nilai yang baik, mungkin tidak hanya sekedar untuk mungkin mengembangkan atau dalam hal ekonomi, ya, tapi juga mungkin akan memberikan kepuasan tersendiri bagi seniman maupun teman-teman yang lain yang juga menciptakan. Saya kira di situ, Mbak, yang bisa saya sampaikan.
Terima kasih, Ibu. So she says that artists cannot stop creating artworks in this situation because it's like a blessing in disguise that this pandemic give us more time to stay at home, and it means that we have more time to create artwork and to share this to the public. Social media will work very well, and through that social media, people will learn that although we are in this difficult situation, we still can enjoy ourselves by creating artwork. Okay, Pak Lutse?
Terima kasih. Tidak jauh beda dengan Bapak Zaki dan Bu Janjang. Dalam berkarya tidak ada batasnya. Dengan pandemi ini bukan sebagai satu halangan, karena dalam pandemi ini saya selaku seniman, saya ingin membuat dunia baru, new normal, dengan new normal baru, di mana new normal tersebut merupakan suatu kaitan adanya suatu jaringan sosial. Di mana jaringan sosial tersebut kami dengungkan melalui karya saya berbentuk spider dengan jaring-jaring laba-labanya. Kemudian memberikan suatu pengertian di seluruh dunia bahwa karya itu terbentuk menggunakan sampah. Jadi kami memanfaatkan sampah, di mana sebelum new normal hal itu sudah terjadi tetapi belum maksimal, akan kami maksimalkan melalui media baru, di mana pandemi ini suatu gagasan dan interaksi baru terhadap karya.
Okay, thank you. He said that basically there is no limit in creativity. So for artists, pandemic should not be a limitation. for them to keep creating artworks. And now, at the meantime, he has a big goal to tell people how, in this pandemic situation, we still can connect to each other and build a strong social networking. Okay, thank you, Pak Lutse. Now let me go to Dr. Edwin, still with the same question.
Yeah, thank you, Mas Emo, for the question. Yeah, I very much agree with you that this is really a time also to think beyond the pandemic, and it comes back to values, to be grateful, to appreciate life from before the lockdown, but obviously also to think about what will be beyond the pandemic. I think with this, one thing that I feel is quite sad is that people refer to this pandemic as really interfering with the life of the new generation, with the millennial generation, that it will impact really the rest of their lives. And I think that in itself is really very worrying that something like that can happen. And I think it forces us to think about what perhaps was wrong in society, regardless of the pandemic. If we think about issues such as having access to education, having access to job security, to healthcare, I mean, all these issues, I think they should be addressed right now. And hopefully, some of this can be improved in the future. Because in hindsight, the pandemic lockdowns, in the end, it might only be for 1 year, which in itself is not that long in terms of a lifetime. But I find it quite shocking that it can actually have impact on people's lives for the rest of their life. And I think that's something that's really worrying and should be addressed.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Edwin. Let me now go to Professor Gunnar. Pak Gunnar, are you still there?
Sorry. So thanks a lot, Emma, for this question, and I totally agree to my colleagues. What I would like to add is, as a creative professional, I totally convinced that we are the ones who have an idea of the future. We have an imagination how the future could be. But the future has to be discussed now. So please develop the future, your idea of the future, visualize this future and bring it to the society now in the presence to let us discuss how could it be, where are the chances, and where are the aspects we should work on and make it better.
Okay, Pak Firawan.
Okay, yes. I think this situation brings both of crisis and opportunities. Many of the craftsmen, designers, and artists in first stages obstruct with crisis, and later when these people keep working and try to show their works on the other channels that possible in nowadays as social media. So the creative is have a channels to spread out. And I think we can notice from many events from the online. I have some examples that our faculties also work with this kind of situations. The first projects approaching us by the German embassies of Thailand from Bangkok there. Early of this year, they already prepare some projects that's for the German's National Days, which is 3rd of October. And on that days, basically many of the what is called the ambassadors or embassies will arrange very official receptions. But this year they cannot do that. Yeah. So the German ambassadors office has approached to the Silberkorn universities to make a small collaborations between the German embassies and the Silberkorn University students to design a graphics on the sanitary masks. Yeah, because the German embassy want to distribute that sanitary mask to all of the guests that related to their connections. So it's a small collaborations between the German embassy and the Silberkorn University has done. And then the product is come out and the embassy has done their work. We also arranged the exhibitions at Silberkorn universities on the next month. Another project is the artist is now searching for the channels of explosions. A lot of the public art nowadays has been expanded. Artists, designers, craftsmen also engaging with their local communities, with their local peoples. So some maybe go back to their hometown, some maybe try to work online. Then this becomes some of the situations that make the artist designer approaching to their local hometowns. And many of the artworks has been now created. Nowadays in Bangkok, we also organize with the Bangkok mayors, organize the Bangkok Art Biennales. Mostly is about the public arts that encourage the people to come out and get links, and watching the meanings of the arts in these situations. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, you are very busy. Good luck for your project. Okay, I have something to say to all participants in the chat. We have shared the link for you to fill your presents. And after you fill the presents list, there will be an email right away sent to you, and it is your e-certificate. Okay, now I still have another question. This one is for Pak Asmariaki dari Bapak Andi Haryanto. He says, of the many characters in the Punokawan, which character did Mr. Yaki use the most in his work, and why did he choose this character? Jadi Bapak dari karakter Punokawan itu, karakter mana yang paling sering Pak Zaki gunakan, dan mengapa memilih karakter tersebut?
Karakter Semar. Bab Semar ini simbol perwataan yang tinggi, lengkap. Di pewayangan tingkatnya tinggi. Di dewa yang jadi manusia, kemudian sebagai manusia dia bijaksana, memahami berbagai macam hal, kemudian bisa menjadi penuntun, penasehat, pemikir, pemimpin raja, ksatria maupun masyarakat umum yang diwakili oleh karakter anak-anak. Begitu.
Okay, so Pak Zaki chose the Semar character because it's symbolizing the most noble person. He is actually a god, which is what disguising as a human being, and because he is a god, then as a human being, he also very wise, understand all problems, and he is capable of giving good advice to the kings or the prince or whoever he serves. Okay, well, I think I'm afraid that I have to end this session. We are still going to have the last thing, that is the, what is it, photo session, Paindi? Yes. But before that, I would like to say our highest appreciation for all speakers. Thank you very much for joining us, for sharing your ideas and thoughts. And I hope in the future we can still have other discussion in whatever forum we can have in this situation. And actually, I have to inform you also that tomorrow we are still have a similar problem with, well, 5 speakers, 2 from Indonesia, and also 3 from different countries, Malaysia, Thailand, and also Japan. So I hope you can enjoy that event too tomorrow. Now let's have the photo session. Please open your camera. Everyone, please open the camera. Okay. Slide 1. Slide 2. Slide 3. Slide 4. Yeah. Slide 5. And the last. Okay, thank you everyone. Sekali lagi terima kasih Pak Guna, Pak Filo,